All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you to preview our Rams Sunday night football matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming Sunday at SoFi Stadium. Another primetime game, guys. The Rams are going to be playing Sunday night football. Big deal. Obviously, playing in prime time, everybody's watching you, broadcasted live. And not only will the Rams be playing in prime time, but Jake will be there.
I will be there,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a lot of fun. For obviously, I mean, this is my 10th Rams game. They are 7-2 in the other 9 Rams games I've gone to. But it's really cool because I'm going to be doing a like meet and greet at the RWO tailgate. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there, and I'm just have to give a lot of shout out and appreciation to RWO for hosting me because it's really freaking cool. And yeah, I just can't wait to meet everyone. I haven't been out in LA since I was with Alexis in 2019. It was the Rams Saints game. And that was the game
Yeah.
where Drew Brees' finger was going the other way. And Teddy Bridgewater came in. They got absolutely trounced. So, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that happen. Like, we had like a very visual view of, well, remember? Because we were like we weren't directly behind their bench, but we were like in eyesight and we just kind of were like watching him like on the sideline trying to figure out what was going on with his hand and it didn't look good. Um, yeah, that's crazy. That feels like so long ago. It was so long ago. That was what, 5 years ago? It's
Yeah,
5 years ago. So,
I know. It's
yeah.
time flies when you're having fun. Those
So,
seats were
so everyone going
crazy,
to the
by the
game.
way.
Yeah, but yes, we had a very nice podcast
Yeah.
listener gift us some seats at the game and it was like a beautiful, I mean, like I said, we weren't that far behind the Saints bench. But we were up enough to where like we had like a really beautiful view of the Coliseum. It was definitely incredible experience. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
And I have to
that
answer
was great.
this with a resounding yes. I will absolutely take a photo with you. Like, I will absolutely, I'll take a photo with every single person if I have to. I will be late going into the stadium if that's what it takes. So I got you.
You're better than me. I'm always hoping that like no one takes pictures of me when I'm at sporting because I'm always just like, especially in tailgating, I'm just like sweating and usually drinking and whatever. Then I like try to get pictures of myself so I can remember the experience, and I always look awful whenever I'm at sporting events. It just never fails.
I got used to
Um,
it because the Giants game last year, I just didn't really take it that seriously. I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm going as a fan, whatever. I might see a Rams fan or two. No, like I had people stopping me and was like, hey, can I take a picture? And I wasn't ready for that. So I've gotten kind of used to that. And I'm not going to be ready for LA. I can tell you that right now. I am going to be overwhelmed, and it's a good thing to have because I've already had so many people reaching out. Actually, a lot of people reached out asking, for you. So I'm sure a lot of people that are there for me. They're going to be like, "Where's Alexis?" So it's
Sadly,
you're
I
going
will
to have a
not be
lot of
there.
love there too. That's what I mean to tell you. So it's not
Well,
just me.
I certainly feel it when I'm in LA and I miss it. I haven't been back to SoFi since the NFC Championship game.
Oh
So I
wow.
was there for that. So yeah, I know that you'll have a great time, and you'll get to hang out with all of our listeners who will be at the game, and that will be very very fun. And I will be very jealous that you will be there for Sunday Night Football, and I won't be. Hopefully, it goes better than the Rams game I was at this season because I was at the Rams Bears game in
Oh,
Chicago, which did not go
oh,
very well. So I had a
that's a
complete
nightmare.
opposite experience that I had at the NFC Championship game. So the past two Rams games I've been at have been very, very different experiences. But on that note, Jake, before we get started and preview this game that you'll be at, you have a message for us.
I do. Just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor of our podcast is PrizePicks. And if you use my promo code JK Bogan, you are going to get $50 instantly when you sign up and you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, $50 instantly. So be sure to check that out. You can mix and match across sports, different teams, Rams Eagles, for instance. And if for instance, if you think, I don't have it right in front of me right now, but if you have, say, Puka Nacua is going to be around probably the 80-yard total, I would say. Maybe below that, probably like around 70. I'll say 72. I haven't looked yet. So if you think he's got more than, say, 72, you would hit more. If you think he's going to have less than 72 yards, you hit less. So that's how it works. You don't even have to win. $5 lineup will get you $50 instantly added to your account. So really cool stuff there. But yeah, anybody that is interested in that meet and greet, definitely go check out RWO. I will be at that tailgate. There will be a DJ. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And I want to give a shout out to Alex, and I want to give a shout out to Brent. I'm going with Brent and Alex to the SoFi Stadium tour on Saturday. So I'm going to be on the field that they will be playing on Sunday night. So I'm very excited. And I'm going to a Laker game too. So just all sorts of stuff. Oh, you might be muted.
I am muted. Sorry.
Yep.
I basically said that you were going to get the full LA experience.
Yes.
And before we get started, so everyone who watched the last episode, my connection was terrible. I regret to inform everyone that it might happen again. So we figured out what was apparently my whole block has been affected by just apps. I haven't gotten an explanation why, but we've had no one has cell service hardly, and everybody's internet is like not working, even though we all have like 5 bars. And it's like when I do a Wi-Fi test, it says everything is fine, but for whatever reason, things are still really, really bad for like my entire block. So something is happening, and I apologize, but it's been plaguing us this entire week. So if my connection is bad again, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do about it. There are hundreds of us that are in this boat on this block, so we got to figure it out. But Jake, on that note, let's start previewing this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, because I don't know about you, but I was pretty high on the Eagles going into the season. Very talented team on paper, particularly offensively. If you look at them, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, they have a very good team theoretically, but they've played in some games this year that kind of makes you scratch your head, and you're kind of like, what happened, right? Especially because they also have games where like Saquon Barkley is like, you and I feel the same about Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's absolutely, when he is fully healthy, in my opinion, when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the league, if not the best. I mean, him and Derrick Henry, obviously very different backs, but they're both so good. So Jake, going into this game, let's start by talking about that Philadelphia Eagles offense. What do you think the Rams defense needs to do to shut them down?
Yeah, I think they need to keep playing their style of game. Look, I understand Saquon Barkley has been great this year, but he hasn't gone up against this Rams defense, this new revived Rams defense that, by the way, ranks 3rd in EPA since the bye week. Shout out to Blaine Grisak for pointing that out, because I did not know that. It's made this talking point way easier. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, this was one of the historically bad run defenses in the National Football League. I mean, they were looking like they were going to have a horrendous season. They have really stifled teams left and right. They've really done a nice job. I give a lot of credit to the guys up front for developing, really growing up on the fly, not really being able to have the excuse, right? No Aaron Donald. Well, you have to be that replacement. Braden Fisk can't have these growing pains. He has to be able to come away and make plays right away. Jared Verse, Byron Young, right? All these guys. Tyler Davis as one of those key rotational pieces. Neville Gallimore has been banged up, so Tyler Davis has gotten more of an opportunity. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is we're seeing a defense that's really growing up quickly, and they're way better than I ever thought they would be in 2024. Like I said, 3rd in the league, analytically. So I just think they got to keep doing their thing. Last year, they were able to force a turnover on Jalen Hurts. It was Ahkello Witherspoon on AJ Brown. He, was able to pick the ball off and keep both feet in the end zone. They weren't able to really capitalize off that turnover. But I think that when you look at this defense, I think the best is yet to come when it comes to those corners. We have not really seen a lot of ball production from the corners, really just the safeties. We've seen sacks, we've seen forced fumbles, but I think Kello is due. I think D Will is due. I think Kobe Durant's due. And let's be honest here, Jalen Hurts, I really like the player, but he is not the same quarterback he was in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a solid quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but he does make mistakes. And I do think that he is going to have one or two of those mistakes. And this defense, unlike last year, this defense really makes you pay with those mistakes. They come down with interceptions. Cameron Kinchins has, I think, 3 already. Jalen McAuliffe has 4. There's a lot of really talented ball skill guys in that secondary. And like I said, I just don't even think the corners really had an opportunity. But looking at last week, going up against, say what you will, the Patriots offensive line's pretty banged up. They were a little healthier than they have been. The offensive line got after it with Drake May. This defense, now having a guy like Omar Speights take on a bigger role, now using the cheetah package, having 3 edge defenders on the field at the same time. Michael Hoyt has been huge. So I just think right now the Rams defense just needs to play their game. Obviously, they're going to make adjustments. Whatever that is, I don't know. But I think right now what they're doing is the right thing. And keep this in mind, Alexis, when we talk about the corners and how they really didn't start off the season with the go-to starting corner room that you were hoping for, because D Will got hurt, Kello was on the practice squad, and it was Trey White. Now that you don't have to cover up a corner, you don't have to drop a safety back because you're scared your corner is going to get picked on. Instead, now you can blitz those. And so the Rams went from a team that never blitzed to now they're blitzing. And that's thanks to their trust that they have in their cornerback room. So I think there's a lot to like right now. We'll see how things go down. But, they blitzed Omar Speights quite a bit. He had 3 pressures against New England. I like to see them do stuff like that. But I think you also have to be, cognizant of the fact that Jalen Hurts can hurt you. All jokes aside, Jalen Hurts can hurt you with his legs, right? So I think they have to be aware of that. That's been something that we've seen. Kyler Murray, right? We've seen mobile quarterbacks get the best of them. Of course, Jordan Love. We'll see how they limit him. We'll see how they limit Saquon Barkley. But right now, I'm not telling this defense to do a damn thing different than what they're doing, because they're firing. They're firing on all cylinders.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, you bring up the corners because like I mentioned earlier, the receiving threats, right, for Philadelphia. You got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. It sounds like Smith isn't going to be able to play.
That's
I think he's
massive.
still it is. It's a huge loss for them. He's a very, very talented receiver, as is AJ Brown. I mean, together, arguably one of the top receiving duos in the league. And I think he's technically, last I saw, still listed as questionable, but it's like not sounding positive for him, that he is going to be out on Sunday night. So with him out, you basically have, Jahan Dotson, which is, it's really interesting. If people don't remember, Jahan Dotson was a Commanders receiver. He was in their division for a different team, a very rare in division trade, which you don't see very often in the NFL. I think the last notable one that I remember seeing before that was a TJ Hawkinson trade. There might have been another one, but that those two stand out to me as ones that really made me scratch my head because I really like Jahan Dotson. And he got traded to the Eagles. Now we might see a bigger role out of him on Sunday night. Won't be surprised at all because he has not gotten much of a look with Brown and Smith out there. So if Smith's not out there, he's gonna have to step up. Dallas Goedert. We saw Hunter Henry be very productive last week for the Patriots. I expect Dallas Goedert to have a big night. I think that that's going to be a challenge for the Rams defense. With the lack of Smith, especially, they're going to have to really what word am I looking for? Defend Goddard. Sorry. Then, the run game. Like I alluded to earlier, Saquon Barkley is going to be the best running back that the Rams are going to face this year, in my opinion, right? So they're going to have a real test. They're going to have a real test in the run game. And I do expect that the Eagles are going to try to get Barkley involved early. Jalen Hurts might get involved early, right? They might I don't want to say do damage, but I am nervous. I think of all the people I'm nervous to face in that offense, Saquon Barkley could be trouble for the Rams. He can wear them down, and he's also a good receiving back. I mean, he can kind of do everything. So I'm very curious how the Rams are going to approach that. And you're of the opinion that the Rams aren't going to change what they've been doing. I don't think they really will either. I do think that they might have to adjust. Again, you have
There's one
weapons
thing I
all.
want them to do, but I'll get to that after you finish.
Well, I was going to say they're going to have to basically be very locked in the receiving and the rushing game because this Philadelphia Eagles offense can really attack you from any angle. I mean, Jalen Hurts himself, right? I mean, he's passing game and the run game. He can certainly rush. So this is a very balanced offense that our defense is going up against, and I would really like to see our defensive front continue the pressure that they have been doing, particularly these past couple of weeks up front. Because, like you said earlier, Hurts can make bad decisions. He doesn't always make the best decisions. He seems to have regressed a little bit from, last season in that regard. And I think, you get guys like Jared Verse and Byron Young in there, maybe Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, all of these guys, if they put the pressure on him, I think that that's going to alleviate a lot of our problems offensively. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you probably know where I'm going with this, but I think that they need to have Kello shadow A.J. Brown. The last time A.J. Brown played the Rams, yeah, he had stats, he had the touchdown. But Akello Witherspoon, he caught one pass for 12 yards on. When Akello Witherspoon was on him, he didn't do a damn thing, really. And he had the interception. So I know people are going to, roll their eyes. Oh, Jake's going crazy for Akello again. Yeah, because he's going to shut down A.J. Brown if they have him shadow A.J. Brown. He did last year. I think he can do it again. If you remember, this defense, really what happened last year when the Rams played the Eagles, and that's really the fascinating thing about this matchup, Alexis, because they're not that different, right? The Eagles still have a lot of the same guys, on their roster, mainly on the offensive side, right? A little bit new on the defensive side. The Rams mainly have the same defense as last year when they played, the Eagles. A lot of the same players are there. Kello's there, and of course, Kobe Durant and Christian Roseboom played, and Michael Hoyt was big in that game. But also, Michael Hoyt was big in that game in a negative way, and I think we all can point to when they kind of just left him isolated one-on-one with Dallas Goedert. That was a turning point play, right? I felt like in that game against the Eagles, I thought the Rams defense was fantastic. And the reason I say that is because aside from that, broken coverage play, Hoyt ends up one-on-one with Dallas Goedert, which you never want, put him in a bad spot. Yeah, aside from that play and the fact that the Eagles just went all out to take Aaron Donald out of the game, this team still had 19 pressures. And that's against a top offensive line. So now, you look at this defense right now. Jared Verse is going to get probably the biggest test of the year. Jordan Mailata might be the best left tackle in all of football. So we're getting to see pound for pound a guy who's leading the league in pressure rate in Jared Verse and a guy who is the number one rated left tackle according to PFF. And I think that is going to be pretty much the matchup of the night, because if Jared Verse can beat Mailata, then the rest is going to cave in. If you can get after Mailata, it's going to open up the door for Fisk. It's going to open up the door for Kobe Turner. This is a defense that no matter who's been in their way, they've been able to generate pressure. And so I think that's a big thing here because, they had a lot of experience going against a rough, tough offensive line that the Lions have. I think this might be a better offensive line, Alexis, at least right now. I mean, you have Mailata, you have Dickerson, you have Cam Jurgens, you have Mekhi Becton at guard, massive, massive, massive people mover at guard, 370-pound guy. And then you have, of course, probably the best right tackle. He's one of the best right tackles of all time, but he's been the best right tackle in the league for the last decade, Lane Johnson. So I just think that this is a huge test, but this is a defense that doesn't realize they're supposed to be way worse than they are.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is a big test, this Eagles offense, like you said, I'm very curious. I was trying to scroll as you were talking to see if I had any Smith news, but I don't think there is any news. I think it's just basically that he's not expected to play. Um,
Hmm.
so AJ Brown obviously is going to be, their top receiver, but I still think Saquon Barkley is the guy. I think that if this defense wants to really put pressure on Philadelphia, I think first and foremost, they have to shut down Saquon Barkley. You have to take that rushing and receiving option away from Jalen Hurts. I think you need to force him to throw the ball and see what happens because he will throw interceptions. I mean, he will make bad decisions. We've seen this all season from him. Definitely a bigger problem for him, I think, than it was last season. So we'll see. But I feel really optimistic. I feel like the momentum for our defense is really positive these past couple of weeks. I know that, we've had moments where it hasn't looked that way. Um, but I think they're gelling. We talked about it a lot last episode about the chemistry and gelling and getting stronger and stronger as the season goes on. I've said, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, in my mind, there are two teams that really worry me the rest of the season. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. To me, those are by far the two toughest teams that we're going to face the rest of the season. One of them is the Sunday and the Eagles. So I think that the Rams have one of their biggest tests left. And I really hope that our defense steps up to the plate in the ways that we just talked about because I think that this Eagles team is their offense. And now we're going to talk about the defense, Jake. So looking at this Philadelphia defense and our offense, who last week was pretty hot, right? I know it was against Patriots. Everybody wanted to remind me of that when I was talking about how good they looked
Doesn't
on social
matter.
media. I get it. It doesn't matter. They looked good. We've got Cooper Kupp back. We've got Puka Nacua back. Uh, they are picking up where they left off. They look great. It's definitely taken the pressure, I think, off of Stafford to have these receivers who can get separation and that who he can trust. It's definitely taken the pressure off Kyren Williams, who, when Kupp and Nacua were out, I mean, as we've talked about, is basically Kyren Williams and who else? Nobody else could score until Demarcus Robinson started to get hot. The last few games before Kupp and Nacua were back, and now look, Robinson's hardly getting any looks. Atwell's not getting any looks because the Rams are relying really heavily on Kupp and Nacua. Jake, going against Philadelphia, do you think that the Rams have the same strategy that they had last week, which seemed to be just really feeding those two guys, really feeding the receivers? We didn't see them run the ball very much. I would have liked to have seen maybe more of a balanced offense last week. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we won, but it did seem, like they should have run the ball a little bit more. So do you think that that's going to be the case against Philadelphia? Do you think that they are going into the game focusing on Kupp and Nacua and doing exactly what they did last week, or do you think they do more of a balanced offense?
So I've kind of gone back and forth on this. The Eagles have probably the best pass defense in the league right now. I mean, when you look at Vic Fangio's defense, they've just done such a nice job. Now, to be fair, they haven't really played a lot of teams. They have the easiest strength of schedule among the league right now. Okay. So that is an interesting thing. And in addition to that, also, let's be honest with ourselves here. Vic Fangio was a thorn in Sean McVay's side early on in his career. So much so, Bill Belichick copied the blueprint, ended the Sean McVay run in 2018 in the Super Bowl, and forced him to really go a different path. Sean McVay took that to heart. So 2019 was the Super Bowl hangover season. Everybody gets hurt, all of that. They miss it by a game. 2020. Now, you're starting to see a whole new defense for the Rams. They move on from Wade Phillips. They bring in Brandon Staley, a guy who a lot of people were saying didn't have the qualifications to be a defensive coordinator. He comes in and brings in the Vic Fangio scheme. This is a good thing, especially for this game, because when Brandon Staley brought that in, and that was the entire point, McVay realizing, wow, there's a defense out there that is absolutely a kryptonite. I need to learn everything about it. So he brings in Vic Fangio, or not Vic Fangio, but his scheme. He brings in a disciple of Vic Fangio's, and they have the number one defense in the league, right? Number one defense in the league. And at that point, obviously, we know Brandon Staley goes and becomes the head coach of the Chargers. They bring in Raheem Morris. A lot of people don't realize, but Raheem Morris was forced to run that defense that Sean McVay had already kind of figured out that he wanted. that had pieces of Fangio's scheme. It's no different than with Chris Shula. It's different. Like, he has new things, new wrinkles and what have you, but it's that same type of scheme. It's the same type of verbiage, all that. So the point being, this in practices, in training camp, this offense has gone up against that style. They've gone up against that style of defense. So I know Sean McVay hasn't had a lot of success against Fangio, but he also hasn't played him a ton. And he didn't have a lot of success against Brian Flores. And to be honest with you, it looked like they were wiping the floor with the Vikings defense, right? Brian Flores had nothing that Sean McVay wasn't ready for. So is he going to get this monkey off his back? I think if he's going to have to run the football, because I think when you looked at that Patriots game, everyone was talking about the 3 touchdowns, the 220 plus yards, the 19 targets combined between Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And yes, I absolutely believe Puka Nacua is going to go for 80 plus yards, right? But Kyron Williams quietly ran for 5.7 yards per carry last week. The Patriots have not been bad against the run. They got Barmore back, so they should have been better. What was happening is this is the first time all year that Avila and Limmer had played next to each other. And this was also factoring the fact that they didn't have Havenstein at right tackle. And we know Havenstein and Dotson are incredible tandem. My feeling is that especially if Havenstein's back, you're going to be able to run the ball against this team. I understand they have Sweat, they have a Jomo, they have Carter. I get it. They have guys up front. They have big bodies up front. It's nothing the Rams haven't seen. They saw it against the Lions. They are going to try and run the football. I'm telling you right now, they only ran 15 times to Kyron last week. That's not something that they're trying to do. So I think they're going to try and run the football. I think you establish that. This is something that they failed to do the last time they played the Eagles last year in week 5. I think they're going to do it this time. So I think you establish the run, you set up play action, and then you start using guys like Tutu Atwell to essentially soften up the defense underneath. So if you use Tutu Atwell and you have him go, you put him on a go route, it's going to create this opportunity now where everybody has to kind of, you have to take it seriously because Stafford has the arm to kind of sling it. And the hope is it'll open up opportunities for Kupp and Nacua. And then when you're hitting them over the head with the short passing, you're hitting them over the head with the run game and the play action. Well, then after that, now you might have that deep shot down the field with Atwell. You might have that with another receiver. And I'd like to see them get Colby Parkinson involved like they did last week. But I think that's how you're going to beat the Eagles. I think that's how they intend to do it. And Alexis, that game against the Dolphins was the furthest thing from a fluke I've ever seen. A fluke means there was no reason for it, right? A fluke means that will never happen again. If the Rams started Jonah Jackson and Joseph Noteboom again, it would happen again. It was a direct cause. The cause of it was the fact that you took Bo Limmer out of the lineup, who's playing very well at center, and you didn't have Havenstein, and you basically, instead of playing Warren McClendon Jr., who finished off the Seattle game very well, you instead decide to go Joseph Noteboom, who doesn't even play on the right side. So he looked like a deer in the headlights, and Jonah Jackson isn't a natural center. So if they did that again, yes, I would expect those same results. But that's exactly why I feel so good. It's why I made the video that people are like, oh, Rams are red hot. What are you talking about? They are. They've won 4 of the last 5. The game that they lost to the Dolphins, there was a clear reason why they lost. It's because they started the wrong guys in the offensive line. They start the right guys in the offensive line, Alexis, against the Patriots, and guess what happened? They only gave up 3 pressures against the Patriots. The same defense that just had 29 pressures the week before. So I actually think, and I know people have been sending, you've probably seen the graphic on Twitter. People have been sending that thing around. The Eagles guy, it was like did you see it's like a graph. It was like bad, good, elite. And like the Eagles, the dial was all the way up. They had the Eagles dial was higher for the quarterback. The Eagles dial was all the way at the end for the coach. I
didn't see it. No.
Yeah, they were basically like, this dude was basically trying to say that Nick Sirianni was better than Sean McVay, which I got a kick out of.
No.
So anyway, that thing, yeah, I'll send it to you because I saw it and I was just like, no. So that thing was floating around. And I just think like the thing I said was quarterback, no, running back, no, because, well, no, I think running back I agreed with. They didn't say elite, but they gave Kyron some praise. Wide receivers, I think the Rams wide receivers are better. And I said, just wait. That was my word usage. Just wait about the offensive line because they were like borderline bad. And I got news for you. The NFL better hope they're borderline bad. Because if what I'm saying is true and my hypothesis is right about last week, Alexis, this Rams team is about to go on an effing tear. Because what I saw last week is for the first time all year, that was an offense that worked in unison. That was an offense that was on the same page. That was an offense that was kicking ass, not just in the pass protection game, but in the run game. It's why Kyron averaged 5.7. It's why Matthew Stafford threw 4 touchdowns. If that offensive line does that this weekend on Sunday Night Football against the Eagles, they're winning the division and they're going to be a big problem down the stretch because that tells me that last week wasn't a fluke. And I don't believe it was.
I agree with you. And, you bring up the NFC West and it's wide open. I know that that's not a secret. Obviously, everybody keeps talking about it, but, you know, it's anybody's division. That was also kind of why Miami hurt so much, right? And all these losses, the Rams have had so many losses this season that I truly believe should have been wins, even when people were injured. I still, we can talk about it all night long. I mean, I was at one of those games, right? The game against Chicago, infuriating. I don't know that I've ever been at a Rams game where they lost that happened, where I was so angry. But we were able now to get back to where we are, and we have to close out these games. But like I said earlier, I think the Eagles and the Bills are going to be the two biggest tests. And this Eagles game is on Sunday Night Football, and I'm really hoping that the Rams can rise to the occasion, particularly the offensive line that you just pointed out. The offensive line is going to have to do their jobs again this week. So, Jake, let's get into the score prediction before we give our stat predictions. Because we've talked about it. We know it's a big game. We know it's prime time every time, the Rams are on prime time. It's a little nerve-wracking because it's people who never watch your team, like tune in or like, let's see what you're about. And then the Rams are either really good, like they were against the Vikings on Thursday Night Football, or they're really bad, as they have been in the past on prime time. And that's always not fun. So, Jake, per usual, I will let you go first. What is your score prediction?
No. I'm letting you go first because I actually want to give credit because I know Alexis was going to say what I said, but I go off on a tangent. Alexis, just say what you were going to say before we even do that. Say exactly because I didn't like, we have like-minded stuff and I get that, but I don't think people realize like, it's not just me saying everything and you just like agreeing with it. Like you don't know football. So I want you to actually say exactly what you were going to say about this Rams team.
Well, now you've embarrassed me. But we're laughing because of the comment section. I'm assuming that's what you saw.
Yeah, I did.
But sometimes you just say what needs to be said for the both of us. It's like, what's that meme where what's the meme where the girl was like explaining something and there's the other girl on the couch and she's just like listening. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have an idea of what you're talking about.
Okay, well, there's just it's basically just like Jake was speaking, what we're thinking, and I'm just vibing out to it. But no, you made very good points, about I will elaborate a little bit, kind of just like on the vibes of the team, because that I could maybe change up a little bit what you just said, because I do agree with you. I think that the Rams have all the momentum right now, and that there is no stopping them. It is similar-ish to what we saw last season, right? Where, they got really hot, right, as the season went on. We're seeing that now, maybe for a different reason. But now that this team is healthy, I really do think that it's going to be very, very hard to stop this team. The Rams' biggest obstacle is themselves. That's what I will say. Again, I want to reiterate, as I've said like 3 times, I do think this is a very good Eagles team. I think this is going to be one of the biggest tests the Rams face the rest of the season. So I would have a little bit of a different vibe if we were playing another team like the Patriots, right? Where last week, obviously the expectation is a lot higher, right? Playing the Patriots than it is playing the Eagles. I do feel like if the Rams can come out Sunday night and make a statement against the Eagles, they don't have to blow them out. They don't even have to win by a comfortable margin. If they can win by one, it doesn't matter. If the Rams can win against the Eagles, I don't see any reason that they can't make a deep playoff run. I really don't. I really feel that strongly about the Eagles. I really feel that strongly about the Rams' momentum right now. I think that they can come out and make a statement Sunday night, and we'll see. I mean, I think that, all the momentum is in the Rams' favor. They have no excuse to come out and look very poorly. I'll say that. Sunday night. They really don't. There's nothing going on right now with this Rams team that gives me any reason to believe that they should absolutely lay an egg on Sunday Night Football. If they do, we'll have a different conversation. But with that said, Jake, score prediction for this game that you will be at.
Yes. So maybe it's just the bias that I want this game to be like this because I think it'd be really fun. I kind of have a vibe that I think it's going to be 34-31. I think we're going to see a high scoring game. And, I actually just recorded a bit for FanDuel and what was it? It was radio. And I went on the radio and they asked me straight up about, the whole, how I saw the score going and, if I thought Cooper Kupp or would do this, whatever. And I actually think we're going to see a lot of Kyren Williams in this game. And I think Sean McVay with his whole, how do I say it? Sean McVay has that kind of recall, right? We always talk about how he just is so knowledgeable about the game, right? And he remembers everything. He can remember the exact play he ran in his first game against the Colts to score his first offensive touchdown. But one thing he probably also remembers is Kyren Williams is running pretty well, and the game script kind of got away from them, but it really didn't. Kyren Williams ran 13 times for 53 yards. Now, we saw what Kyren Williams did the whole year. The rest of 2023, he was on a tear. I know he ended up getting hurt the game after this, but he went for like 200, right? The point being, in that game, Alexis, in those minimal carries, he had 13 rushes. 4 of those, he forced 4 missed tackles. He had 37 yards after contact. People just look at him and he's a short running back and all that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, this guy's gone up against big time, like buff interior defensive line, and he's done stuff with it. And so, yeah, I think Kyren Williams is going to have a huge game in this one. I think that they're really going to roll with him because, again, last week was the first time we saw Bo Limmer and Avila. Okay. So we found out they're a really good tandem. And we already knew, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein were. And I thought Warren McClendon did a really nice job, but he's not Havenstein. So I think having Havenstein back, which sounds like he's leaning towards that, I just think they're going to be able to run the ball really well. And I think it's going to open up the rest of the game. And I think that the Eagles are going to be able to score a lot as well. I think the defense is it's going to be kind of like one of those, it won't be the Rams-Chiefs game, but it will be one of those games where the defense plays well, but the scoreboard doesn't indicate it, if that makes sense. And I think the defense will come up in a big-time spot. And I just have a feeling after all the shit that Josh Carty got, he is going to boot the game-winning field goal. That's my feeling. I feel it, even if it's not 34-31 like I'm saying, Alexis, I think Carty is going to boot the hell out of a game-winning field goal. It just makes sense. The universe, you got to do him a solid. I mean, he's been getting ripped. So that's how I see it. You just gave away one of your bold predictions. No, my predictions are even bolder. I have 34 points to distribute. I mean, come on now.
Well, I'm predicting a Rams win as well, 28-24. So
I like that.
Relatively
four more touchdowns. We getting 4 more offensive touchdowns, like on the dot.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what my predictions are. But yeah, you know what? I think, like I said, I've been very respectful of the Eagles. I've praised them a lot this episode. But I do think the Rams are hot right now. I think they have momentum, and I'm really hoping that they continue that. I think that all indications say that they will. So yeah, I feel good about this. So, I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think there's going to be any point in the game where one team is out leading the other by a ton. But yeah, I think the Rams end up pulling up a W. So with that, Jake, getting into our game predictions, you gave one. If you're not counting it as one of your three, that's okay. But you did say the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I'm not counting it as one of them. But I'm going to let you go. We're going to do something different this time. I'm going to let you go all three of your predictions before mine. Yes. Which I think we should just do this from now on. You go first. I'm tired of taking your ideas. I'm tired of plagiarizing your predictions and your bold predictions. Yeah, I'm not doing it
That
anymore.
is true. You do always plagiarize my predictions.
Yeah, no more. Turning over a new leaf.
This first one might be obvious. This first prediction. But it's Kyren Williams 2 touchdowns. And listen, I know everyone rolls their eyes when I predict a Kyren Williams thing. But listen, he hasn't gotten a touchdown in 3 games. He had a hot streak, a record-breaking hot streak that then ended. They haven't used him particularly as much in the red zone since Kupp and Nakua has come back. But I think that's going to change. Like you touched on, I think that this is an opportunity for the run game to get hot again, to really start rolling. I think that they're going to be able to utilize him a lot more. I think he's going to have a big game as well. So yeah, I think Kyren Williams 2 touchdowns. Although I do think Blake Corum is going to get a lot of action. I was a little bit wrong last week. I did tweet out before the game last week, this is going to be a huge day for Blake Corum. This is the day to get him a ton of opportunities. He's going to get a ton of work in. So I was a little off base on that, but I do think that he's going to get more touches this week than he has in previous games. I think that they're kind of trying to slowly work him in there, on some downs. That he wasn't seeing earlier. So yeah, I think that Blake Corum is going to hopefully get some more touches as well, but I do think it's going to be a very big day for Kyren Williams, as we've said. Next prediction. I'm going Kobe Durant interception because I almost wanted to say Kinchins again, but I was like, let's show some love to Durant. As we talked about earlier in the episode, Jalen Hurts can make some bad decisions when he gets pressured, and this Rams defense is really good with the pressures, especially as of late. So I think that that's going to happen. I think Jalen Hurts is going to panic, and I think somebody's going to be on the receiving end of an interception, maybe a few interceptions, but I think one of them is going to be Kobe Durant. He feels due, and I feel like he's been playing really, really well and isn't getting the credit that he deserves, particularly for that. So let's say Kobe Durant interception. Last one. Ooh. I kind of want to change it. Hold on, now I'm panicking. You know what? No, I'm going to keep it. I want to say Jared Verse 2 sacks. 2+ sacks. I think Jared Verse is going to have a really, really big day, and that's saying a lot because we talked about the Eagles' offensive line. But I feel really good about it. I feel, like I said, we keep using the term momentum, but it's really hard when a team is displaying as much momentum as the Rams are to be comfortable saying it's going to end. So I just don't think it's going to end. I'm not going to say it's going to end till it ends. So I think Jared Verse is going to have a big day. I think, listen, he is the defensive rookie of the year in my mind. If he's not the defensive rookie of the year, he's up there. I mean, Braden Fisk himself is also making a bit of an argument. I mean, what a rookie season from both of these guys up front. I mean, just so fun to watch play. But I think Jared Verse is going to have a particularly big day on Sunday. So those are my 2 predictions. I'm seeing in the comments everybody is saying Corum breakout game after I mentioned Blake Corum. I could see it. I'm not going to say it because I said it last week and it didn't happen and I was totally wrong. I don't know that the Eagles... Well, I don't know. I don't know that it'll be a breakout game, but I do think that he is going to see more touches than he has been seeing previously. I just don't know that the Eagles game is probably going to be the game where it's going to be his coming out party. Watch it be now that I said that.
Yeah.
So I said it last week, didn't happen. But all right, Jake, what are your 3 bold predictions?
Yeah, I just want to add to the Blake Corum thing. I've been following the pattern. They don't trust Blake Corum yet when the game gets close. They'll give him carries if it's 0-0, 7-0 early on, but I don't think that they are going to give him anything that would give him a breakout game. I don't see that. When push comes to shove and the game gets close, they lean on Kyron. And they lean on Kyron because he can be out there in pass pro. He's much better in pass protection. So Ruiz, I see you. I see you. So we'll get to that. Don't worry. We appreciate it, by the way. So I just wanted to say that before I gave my 3. I would definitely temper your expectations. Like the game against the Saints the week after, okay, but like this is prime time. Like I don't think they're trying to just throw him into the fire at any point. They don't need to. They have Kyron Williams. So I don't see that. So let's go with this, okay? I think Michael Hoyt is going to have 2 sacks in this game. He has been balling as of late. He's doing a lot of the dirty work that no one really talks about. He's blocking kicks. Michael Hoyt is going to get 2 sacks in this game on Jalen Hurts. So that's the first bold prediction. The second is going to be history repeating itself. And I think Ahkello Witherspoon is going to pick off Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to say in the end zone again, but that would be pretty fun. But I think that Ahkello Witherspoon gets his first interception of the season. Feels like he's overdue, man. He gets his first interception of the season on Jalen Hurts. And then the offensive one, I'm going to say Puka Nacua goes wild. And what I mean by wild is I think he's going to go for like $150. I think Puka Nacua is just the go-to guy. Cooper Kupp can still have his stats, but it's so obvious to me that they just view Puka Nacua as that like explosive guy. I know it sounds ironic because Cooper Kupp had the 60-yard explosive, which is the biggest play of the game. But what Puka Nacua does after the catch, he's faster. It feels like there's more of an acceleration there. I think he goes over 150 yards. He had 106 against the Vikings, 7 catches on 9 targets. That was his first game back from the injury. I just feel like their game plan is going to be very reminiscent to the Vikings game. And so in that Vikings game, Kyron Williams, and you already picked Kyron Williams, so I wasn't going to go to that route. But Kyron Williams ran really well in that game. He was in the 90s. I think he had close to 5 yards per carry. Puka Nacua went over 100 yards. Cooper Kupp caught a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson caught 2. Kyron caught 1. So, we might see like kind of a weird game where they kind of separate the targets when they get to the end zone. Maybe we see another Colby Parkinson touchdown, all that. But I think Puka Nacua from a stats perspective, I think is going to go over 150 in this game. So 150, Michael Hoyt, 2 sacks, and Ahkello Witherspoon gets an interception on Jalen Hurts back-to-back seasons.
I like it.
So that's what I got. Yep. And Ruiz has a super chat. So
thank you, Ruiz. That's awesome.
Jake, have you read my Discord message? Read it. Fire. Okay. Let's see here. I am ready for Sunday night. I can't read that because you gave me your number and I'm not going to dox you. Bro, I just got a fan experience for both of us. We will get to meet players of the 99 Super Bowl team and get signatures. Man, I appreciate that. Ruiz, for those of you who don't know, Ruiz has been so kind to basically, he did it on a JE Live. Alexis, I don't even know if I told you this. I was doing a live stream and he's like, check your inbox. So I go to Gmail and I just see a ticket just sitting there. Like he sent me a Rams ticket. So I couldn't say no. So I really appreciate you, man. I'm really looking forward to Sunday night. I think it's going to be a fun one. I hope it's on the right side, the good guys, but we'll see. That's why, we watch the games, we go to the games, all that. But everyone drop a W in the comments for Ruiz because he's been incredibly supportive of my channel, of me, of this show. And it's people like Ruiz that just make this not even feel like a profession for me. And this is just so much fun to interact with people like that. So appreciate you, man. And I can't wait for Sunday.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ruiz. It's awesome. Thank you so much for everything. And yeah, you guys are gonna have a great time on Sunday at the game. I will be watching and hoping as well that I get to witness you guys witness a W in person. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, Sunday Night Football, waiting all day. It is always insane when your team plays on Sunday Night Football because then you're just like sitting there, like anxiety riddled because your team is like playing and then you're trying to watch other games and you can't focus. So,
Oh, look at that.
Ruiz, I would love that.
Oh,
Um,
sorry. A fail.
Yep,
Oh
I
man.
would love that. Hey, any time. I don't know that I'm gonna make it out there this season, sadly. I hope maybe. You know what? I'll make it work. If anybody can help me out with a ticket, sure. Or you know what? Maybe the Rams make the playoffs and I end up getting out there.
It's just
Jake, we
the
end up doing DTR in LA.
it's the cycle,
Um,
like getting to the NFC title game again. And
if they make the NFC title game again, I gotta get there again. I got very lucky to be blessed with tickets to that last time.
yeah,
Um, so we'll see. But I very much would love to meet everybody again at the game. And I hope that everybody at the game, all of you listening who are going, will get to experience a win on Sunday night against the Eagles. Because it's a big game. And Alex, yep. Um,
I wanted to highlight
well,
that because Cam, I highlighted yours by accident because I was trying to highlight Ruiz saying he owed Alexis a game. But I wanted to make it clear I wasn't just pushing you aside. So I thought this was cool. I like when my podcasters get to be able to experience the game in person. The streams and videos are amazing because of all the detail, little things you see. It's true. It is a different perspective. And Alexis and I went to Rams Giants. That was the Super Bowl season, right? It was 38-11.
yes.
They I remember
They
every
crushed
little
him.
detail about that game. I remember over Tay Crowder in the back left pylon of the end zone. See, I'm Sean McVay. The back left pile of the end zone, Matthew Stafford put like the most perfect just touch on this ball
Yeah.
to Darrell Henderson. So I remember
It was a fun game.
we went to get like food or we went to the bathroom and like Jalen Ramsey had the football. We're like they had another turnover. Yeah, it was one of those games where like it was just great. Everything seemed to go the Rams' way. And unlike last year, which was great because they won, but it was a heart attack and a half. Because I mean, you watched it, obviously. That was how they clinched the playoffs. But being there, like watching, you're like, oh my God, this is karma. I'm literally watching karma. Alexis, do you remember why I would even say that I was watching karma? Why would I say that?
Why?
Because Mason effing Crosby, who was cut by the Rams, had a chance to end their season and drill that field goal for the Giants, and he could not have missed it worse. But I was horrified, truthfully, absolutely horrified. So, yeah,
Yeah.
they
Well,
almost blew
I
it.
that yeah, well, I'm hoping that the Rams don't put us through any of those emotions on Sunday night. I'm gonna say that. Thank you so much, Ruiz. Definitely next season, I will be out in LA. I also think that I'm gonna go to an away game next year. I just don't know which one yet. I think I was thinking like
Ooh, what's
Atlanta.
their? Because like, why
We
not?
don't,
I'll
I
look
mean,
it
we
up right
don't,
now. Like who
I
they
mean,
would
we don't
play.
know. Like, I think I'm gonna do Atlanta,
So
but
the
it depends. I
Rams.
also have to see.
Okay, the Rams' future opponents, 2025. The home opponents would be the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Saints, the Bucks, TBD NFC North team, and then AFC South is Texans and Colts. The away opponents, obviously you have your division. The Carolina Panthers. Ooh, Carolina would be interesting. Atlanta Falcons, like you brought up. TBD NFC East team, which means, and I have no idea because the Rams could finish first or fourth, or they could finish third, they could finish second. So it's basically the TBD is wherever you match up in the standings. So whoever finishes last is playing the Giants. So there's a chance the Rams would play the Giants again in MetLife Stadium. The only way that happens, of course, is if they completely fall off a cliff here. Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. Tennessee Titans and TBD AFC North. So that home NFC North team right now, who would that be? Probably be it really depends. I mean, we don't know.
Right?
Well, as of right now, the Rams are in second place. So you are no, it'd be the Vikings.
Okay.
They play the Vikings again. TBD AFC North. That would be the Ravens because the Steelers are the number one team right now in that division. They've had quite the year.
Well, whatever game we do, we will let everybody know. I definitely will, make an away game. I just haven't decided. I would like to go somewhere I've never been.
I'm going to Heinz Field if they play there. It's called like Acrisure Stadium, but I'll go with Adam.
Yeah, I
will do that.
I just want to go somewhere I haven't been. So
yeah,
and I know that the Ramley will travel there, and I'll get to meet everyone there too. But I also will make it out to SoFi, hopefully, so I'll get to see everyone there. But
if
yeah,
they win
guys,
the division, it's another Lions rematch.
I can't go to Ford Field.
I can't
too
either.
many
I'd
people
be killed.
that yeah, I would be definitely murdered. So anywhere else though, anywhere else. But guys, I think that's gonna do it for us. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Like we talked about, Jake is going to be at the game at SoFi on Sunday night. So be sure to message Jake.
He's saying that it would actually be at SoFi. I would go to that.
Oh, I would go if they played the Lions at SoFi. Yeah. I just wouldn't.
I would go to that specific game for that. I would go out of my way for that to be the game.
We'll see. It could be.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see, but yeah.
But yeah, guys, as always, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean a lot. Please follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. I also am on Instagram at Alexis Craft. I've been using that more than I've been trying to diversify where I post. So I'm on Instagram. You can follow Jake on Instagram and Twitter at JKBogan. And guys, we will be back next week. Monday night. Jake, will you be back? We might do Tuesday night next week.
I'll probably record, but yeah, I won't be back until pretty much Thursday, like in the morning.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna be recording late next week. So we'll post and let you guys know when we're gonna be live and recording Downtown Rams. But until then, guys, as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.